It seems like another diddler has been caught and exposed to the world. This whole situation revolving around a content creator named Cody. I'm not really too familiar with that person.
You, one of the largest commentary creators on YouTube, knowingly committed a crime against her when she was a minor. But YouTubers and viewers alike are ignoring and discrediting these allegations solely because the person making them happens to be an unlikable woman online, Tana Mongeau. And you know that people are ignoring this because nobody is working harder to bury this story than you. And you're getting away with it because commentary YouTube has a serious problem. I can't blame any of your viewers or my viewers for not hearing about this because you've done such a good job hiding it up until now that I only found out about it recently. The situation has been talked about by smaller channels, it's been discussed at length on other platforms, and it keeps almost hitting the mainstream, like with this Rolling Stone article or this H3 podcast discussion. But the reason it hasn't caught on yet, despite all of this, is that none of your friends, nobody on your level, nobody in the commentary niche with enough pull is willing to admit that this situation makes you look terrible.
A lot of people like him a lot, and they really are like doing any kind of mental gymnastic to just ignore it.
I'm not here to accuse you of committing a crime in this video because I can't do that based on someone else's allegations. Nobody can definitively take these allegations as proof, but at the same time, they should still be looked at and not treated as an open secret and swept under the rug like you.
Now, I'm not really familiar with the other woman in question. But just because the woman is unlikable and the guy is lovable, I don't think people should just ignore it because it happened to a bad person or it happened to somebody who's weird or whatever the fuck. Like, I don't care how bad of a human being I think you are. There's just some things I'm not going to put out there in the ethos, in a sense, to really co-sign and ignore and hope something bad happens. Like, I don't do that. That is weird. I do think it is wrong for people choosing to ignore something like this, and it just adds to the list of people who keep fumbling the bag after you busted your ass year in, year out to get where you're at, to quit your day job just to do this thing full time where you can look into a camera, speak into a microphone, and get paid handsomely wearing pajama pants and a t-shirt.
Doing for so many years now. And from the way the situation keeps popping up more and more often, it's clear that there's only so much rug sweeping you can do before people start taking a closer look at things. So let's take a closer look. We both know that Tana Mongeau is a YouTube personality with a history of lies, controversy, and genuinely problematic behavior that's become so entangled with her brand that her podcast is called Cancelled with Tana Mongeau. And speaking of this podcast, about a month ago, she hosted a live episode in front of an audience, and the conversation turned to you.
Who's the smallest you've ever had sex with?
Oh my God, no one look at me, Cody. I can say that. I was literally 17, I can say that.
This clip started making the rounds and people were understandably perturbed because if Tana Mongeau was 17, you would have been 25. So people started speculating and Tana decided to set the record straight.
I hooked up with Cody when I was 17 and he was 25.
She claims that not only were you fully aware of her age at the time, but someone even tried to stop you and you went ahead anyway.
There was a situation with Gabby Hanna at a playlist live where she pulled him aside and told him like, yo, she's 17. And then we still went and hooked up.
To be clear, 17 is under the age of consent in many states, including Florida, where Playlist Live used to take place. So this means that Tana Mongeau is accusing you of statutory rape, and she's not trying to hide that.
This isn't just some crazy tea. It was a crime.
Nothing would make this situation better, but plenty of things make it worse, like the fact that she was a fan of yours at the time, adding an additional layer to the power dynamic you would have had over her.
I grew up loving him, and I think you know what I mean? Like, I was just like excited and a fan.
Tana seems to have many feelings about this, which we'll go over a bit later, but she stated
I don't understand how somebody can be 25 messing with a 17-year-old. Like, and granted, stuff like this used to happen all the time, like before social media was a thing, before cell phones with cameras was a thing. And I've went over this a numerous amount of times. Just because 17 is legal in most states don't mean your old, decrepit 30-something, 40-something-year-old ass should be trying to take her away from an 18-year-old that is actually probably a better suitor than you are. And how do I know this? Because when they're both at that age, 17, they can grow up together. And if he cheats on her, if she cheats on him, they may or may not be able to grow past it. But you, Mr. Oldhead, cannot grow past that. You're beyond growing past it. You're gonna leave. They're gonna be their primary target, and they're definitely not gonna choose a girl who lives at home with her parents and the parent co-sign that type of behavior. Any parent that co-signs that type of behavior really don't love their kid because they're not willing to do what it takes to protect them.
Very clearly that the actions she's accusing you of are inexcusable.
If I had a 17-year-old daughter or a little sister or something, like, I would kill. I would never let it fly.
These recent allegations are bad enough on their own, but there are a couple of things that make them worse still. Things that many people don't know yet, but you do. You know that Tana has been making this same specific claim against you for years now. Here she is back in 2021 saying the same thing.
I was 17 at the time, 18. I started kind of hooking up with other people. Shout out JC Kalen, shout out Cody Co.
But what lends the most credibility to Tana's claims, and what is really the most damning thing for you, Cody, is a clip that you might not have even seen yet. See, I read the Rolling Stone article, I watched the YouTube videos about this, and they all missed something. And I understand why. The clip I'm about to show you is extremely hard to find. The original has been lost to time, and it's a wonder we have this on video at all. But if there was anything to give me any more clarity about these allegations before I formed my opinion, I was going to find it. Remember how Tana said that fellow YouTuber Gabby Hanna tried to stop you before everything allegedly went down? Well, did you know that Gabby is actually on record telling the exact same story several years ago?
One time, I told a guy, I saw him making out with a girl at a party who was underage, and I pulled him aside and I was like, hey man, you probably don't know, I know she like looks a little older, she's underage, watch it. And he's like, oh my god, thank you for telling me. And then he turned that.
This is really, really bad. People make accusations.
He did what? He did what? After you told him. What is wrong with some of y'all people? Like, maybe we ought to have a come to Jesus meeting for the descendants of Mount Caucasus, because what in the entire fuck? I may need to lie down.
All the time, specifically regarding things that are very difficult to prove or disprove, unfortunate as that may be. But when somebody makes an allegation and they say they have a witness, and that witness can be found telling the exact same story years before any of this came out, that's not something I can just ignore. In a situation that cannot be proven, corroboration by a third party goes a long way. And frankly, Cody, the allegations against you seem to have been corroborated. But instead of researching to find these answers like I did, many of your fans seem far more interested in attacking your accuser.
I have seen so many comments, but what was she wearing? It's Tana, so who cares? Well, it's Tana Mongeau.
The reaction to this has been unsurprising but incredibly disappointing, demanding proof that they know she can't provide, acting like she's only doing this to gain clout or ruin you somehow, despite the fact that she's never once put your name in a video title over this. Or worst of all, implying that a 17-year-old could have truly consented to any of this.
What the? Let's read this. She wasn't no victim. She was 17, obviously consented. First of all, it's Tana. Of course she would sleep with him. She's also 17, which is old enough to have a clear idea of what you were doing. So yes, it's fine. No. You see, when you're 17, you don't know what you're consenting to. I don't give a fuck what the law says. There's the science to prove that there's a certain part of your brain that is not fully developed until you're 25. Okay? 25. So if you really think that a 17-year-old is okay enough to consent to anything, I have a swamp in Mississippi and Louisiana for sale. And I wonder, would these people say something like that to a girl's parent? Because I guarantee you, if you were to try to repeat that to a girl's parent, oh, she's 17, your daughter's old enough to consent to me, you may not be alive to see the next day or the next few minutes. Because there are some people that's like you activating a sleeper agent and they finna be on crash out timing. Like, don't do it. I don't do it. Okay. And let me go over this one more time for the not so bright bulbs in the box. Okay. when there's an age of consent law, 9 times out of 10, in fine print that you cannot see, that law protects men who are a few years older. You know what that's called? Age exception. Meaning, if she's 17, you can't be no older than 21. If you're 25 or 27, that's way too old. Okay? Some of y'all don't be thinking. And ask yourselves this. If you really don't see a problem with this, A, would you let your daughter or son do that? That's number 1. 2, would you let a grown-ass man who's 27 take your 17-year-old daughter out on a date? And if the answer is yes, you are a bitch. You have no backbone. You have no spine. A real man would end up choking the fuck out of anybody that wants to take out your daughter that is way too fucking old. Hey, Kendrick Lamar said it best. They not like us. Till next time, I'll see y'all in the next video. Peace.